Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you decided to join me. My name is Stacey and I'm an infidelity recovery coach specializing in helping the unfaithful heal their affair and return to your marriage or rebuild your marriage if you would like to. And now I'm offering how to heal your attachment style, which it means we go from insecure to secure. So you don't have to go through this journey alone. You can actually grow from having an affair. There's tons of wealth in there. I know it might not seem like it now. I know society will really condemn us, which can cause us to shrink back and not want to grow. But trust me, I am so glad that I pushed past all of the judgment, the condemnation, the fear, the pain, everything, and really worked with the Lord and learned how to grow from this affair to help prevent future affairs. Because guys, that's what we want. We want to get our core wounds healed. We don't want to repeat this behavior because it does nothing but destroy our lives and prevents us from doing what God has called us to do, from fulfilling our purpose. So if you would like to work with me, please check the description box down below. Let's get into today's video. All right. Today's video is 10 reasons to end an affair. Okay, so we're going to go through these a little bit quickly unless, I just kind of like keep talking because I do that sometimes. All right, number 1, lost identity. Okay, so a lot of times we say, I don't know who I am. Now, you might feel like you don't know who you are even before the affair starts, because as moms, we can tend to lose our identities just being married and having kids. It's like, well, after a few years, I don't know who I am. I'm just a mom. I just changed diapers. I just lost myself. And sometimes we can try to find ourselves in an affair, but ultimately the affair causes us to feel like we don't know who we are because we are crossing our own boundaries, our moral boundaries. We know this is not us. I haven't had a client say yet that, hey, I do this for, this is just what I do. Most of them will say, this is not who I am. I don't know why I did this. And that's true for us. We don't know why we did this. And that's where our core wounds come in. But it's worse with an affair where it's like, I really don't know who I am. Like, this has caused me to do things that I never thought I would do. And that right there is a reason to end the affair, because not knowing who you are and not having that self-awareness and being in touch with who you are will keep you searching for the rest of your life, and you will miss out on the contentment that God has for you. Number 2 is a lost relationship with God. I was a Christian when I was having the affair. My affair partner was not. He hated God for his own reasons. He just hated God. He had some trauma, but I didn't like that I wasn't praying like I used to. I didn't read the Bible as much. I didn't feel like I could really have a close relationship with God because of the affair. And I missed that in my life. I didn't want to go through the rest of my life without having a relationship with God. And it was strained. It wasn't like it was. I wasn't, the heart to serve people was still there, but I wasn't in a position, and even with my affair partner, he wasn't one who wanted me to say, well, I'll pray for you, so that was restrained. And I didn't like that either. So you want to keep that in mind, that, there's a lot of loss when it comes to God and having the affair. Now, let me say, you can rebuild your relationship with the Lord. I am very grateful for God and how I know him now. And I wouldn't know him this way had I not gone through the affair. So for that part, I am so grateful, and I want you guys to understand that you can have that experience with the Lord for yourself, because what he did for me, he'll do for you, and it's worth it. Like, learning God after infidelity, learning who he is and how he shows up for you is amazing. It's not something I would trade. The next one is, it's too risky. Continuing in the affair, your husband could find out, and then, you say you're going to end it and you don't, which is something I did. I said I was going to end it, didn't end it. And then he found out later, I'm glad he still decided to stick around, because if not, I wouldn't have my third child that I have now, and I would have lost time with my other kids because we'd have been going back and forth. So it's not worth it. Number 4 is the pain is too great to continue in the affair. The pain gets worse, guys. If you hold on to the hope that it's going to get better, it's not. It's just going to get worse. And that's a great reason to end an affair, because I don't want to live in survival mode. I want to learn how to thrive, and I'm not going to thrive in this affair. Lost time with your kids. Now, this is huge for me, and I'm going to try to keep it together while I go through this, but I thought this point was so very important. My middle daughter was 5 years old when I had the affair, and because it took me so long in recovery, I missed out on so many years of her life. And we were talking yesterday, her and I, and she has some abandonment issues, so of course I teach my kids all this stuff because I don't want this to happen to them. So we talk about attachment styles, but we're talking, and she says, I do fear emotional, abandonment. And, she was asking me some questions about like certain times when she was little. She was 5 when the affair was going on and when it ended. But I told her, I said, no, I said, it's because I abandoned you emotionally. And we're working on our relationship and we're getting better, but it breaks my heart to hear her say, to talk about me not being there and me not remembering a lot of her childhood and her growing up. I don't want that to be you. It's not worth it. The affair's gonna end. That relationship is not gonna last. Your kids are forever. Whether you're on good terms with them or not, they're still your kids. And most often than not, they still talk to you and they still come around. And the regret of not being there for her is a freaking nightmare for me. Now, I feel like God is giving me a second chance with her and being able to help walk her through this and help be there for her now and help her heal from that. But it's still a regret, guys. It's not worth it. Take it from me. It's just not. End it. If you're not present with your kids, walk away. The pain of losing that person will end, I promise. But the pain of the regret of not being present with those babies, that kind of sticks around. Okay, so number 6 is the double life can be exhausting. It's tiring having to be one way with one person and lying all the time, hiding your phone, sneaking around, and then being a completely different way with someone else. That's just too exhausting emotionally. You don't have time, or you don't have mental energy to give to anybody. So that's a great reason to end an affair. Like, I don't want to live a double life. For me, I felt like I was already not being able to be true to myself and who I was. And then having to live a double life on top of that just made life way worse. You don't understand how your life is worse when you're having an affair, because sometimes the affair progresses and gets to the power struggle stage, but we're still stuck in the fantasy or the memory of how good it was in the beginning. But it doesn't stay that way. Number 7 is loss of reputation and friends. I didn't really lose any friends, but I know my reputation in my hometown and in my church was, damaged and altered. And I'm not a person who really cares about what other people think. I'm just going to do my thing, I'm going to do what I want to do. But it did bother me to see people talk about me in front of me or give me dirty looks. And I didn't like that. And, as a Christian, I want to reflect God and the love of God. And I didn't do that in the affair. So I lost that ability to be that witness to them. And then we have since moved churches. So, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just walk away. You can do it. Um, Number 8 is living with guilt and shame. And I'm not talking about the guilt and shame that you might experience when the affair is going on. This guilt and shame that I'm talking about is toxic, and it's when the affair is over and you struggle trying to forgive yourself and trying to accept God's forgiveness, because we don't understand God's love. So it's hard for us to accept his forgiveness, especially with society saying we need to be stoned. But so with that in mind, you want to think about the aftermath of the guilt and shame and how that impacts your life, and how it's really hard for some people to let that go and accept, hey, I did this. I need to forgive myself. I need to accept God's forgiveness for what I've done, and I can learn and grow from this. It's really hard. So the aftermath of the shame and guilt is not worth being in the relationship, because some people really, really struggle with this. I know I did. I struggled with it for a long time until I fully understood what having a growth mindset means, and how God forgives me and I can accept that forgiveness and move forward. So number 9 is the relationship won't last. So that by itself is a good enough reason. It's not going anywhere. You guys both have core wounds, and it's going to end at some point. So why drag it out to when you're both just tired and suffering, and then maybe the families find out, now they're suffering. It's just, we need to understand what an affair is, what it consists of, and look at that for reality, and look at long term, not just the temporary feel good of the affair, but the long term effects from it. Number 10 is they don't really offer more than your husband. Think about it. Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, I always say get out. I don't believe that God calls us to live with someone who is abusing us. But if you can say my husband is just great, then don't think the affair partner is going to be able to top that, because they're not. You just think of it like this. The husband, like you have a pie, your husband is the pie, and there might be one piece of that pie that he's not fulfilling, and the affair partner is just that one piece. So we don't want to trade a whole pie for one piece, basically. They're not, I know we compare, but we compare like, oh, this is my husband's downfall compared to my affair partner, and that is the wrong way to compare, because there is no comparison. Like, they're two different people for one reason, but what the husband has, if they can get their life together, if they can get on board with like marriage counseling and that kind of thing, is so much better than what the affair partner has to offer. Okay, so I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.